I think COP26 is extremely important in the mainly for enhancing implementation of all these goals and commitments that the world has made, all the countries of the world have made. And to enable implementation, having finance, access to finance, is the biggest challenge. And while there is no problem, I think the world has adequate finances to make climate change, to implement all the commitments we have made on climate change. The finances are there. What we need to do is make the financial flows happen in order for our member countries to be able to meet their goals.
I would say that one of the most shared needs that we received from our member countries is access to climate finance. There are a lot of sectors that need to be considered to implement the NDC, and there are perhaps some entry points identified, but in order to access climate finance, there is a need to develop a considerable number of bankable project proposals, investment plans, develop the enabling framework to generate investment from the public and the private sector. And I would say this is the need that is most common in our work, and the one that we are delivering the most through our implementing partners.
The pressing needs and gaps or challenges that come in when you're talking about capacity building could be focused on the interest of parties to build their capacity, because sometimes people do not think that it's needed and that they know about things. So that would be one thing, like the human nature of finding interest to build their capacities. And then where there is interest, do we have enough technical capacity to engage these communities, the policymakers, the youth, everybody that we're talking of, the multi-actors, and provide the needed capacity needs, so technical capacity, be it that, technological needs, financial needs, to ensure that capacity needs are addressed effectively. So we have data gaps which you need to address, the modules that will be there to do trainings and capacity building, and also engaging different actors to work together and collaborations so that the capacity gaps could be addressed effectively.
What is needed in order to build more capacity? It's how we can go across language barriers, because most of the people do not speak one language as English, who is doing all around the climate impact, and how we can also pass through developing, but having all the humanity together. And that's also what indigenous peoples do the best, because indigenous peoples who do speak another language with others, we all know the same language of nature. So let us adopt the same language of protecting nature, and we can build the capacity better.
I think one of the most pressing issues, I think, it has to be along the lines of how the young people develop sustainable initiatives that will allow them to build that capacity. I think it's always the case that you have this new thrust, but then there is limited capacity within the existing youth networks that will allow them to develop sustainable measures, sustainable initiatives that, one, upscale existing initiatives, but also generate new and innovative ideas. So I think definitely the pressing issue is just how we can develop sustainable systems. And we have other partner organizations, even within the PCCB network, who can provide that support to existing youth networks. Youth networks who are members of the PCCB network, but also outside of the PCCB network. And I think that is also a critical role where PCCB can play, which I would encourage other youth networks to join the PCCB network, because there is that sort of wealth of knowledge and experience, which I think can allow us to overcome these pressing issues in terms of technical expertise, in terms of finance access and other resources that will allow us to develop sustainable capacity building initiatives that will not only benefit not select few, but be able to have a widespread impact that will be for the greater benefit of for us at the local level, national level, and of course at the international level.
The most pressing need is still exactly to continue building a partnership and expanding the network in order to connect relevant actors and process and address gaps and needs, because there is a lot going on, a lot of capacity building provided, and the capacity, the Paris Committee on Capacity Building really need to make sure that these gaps and needs are addressed by the proper and appropriate organization and actors that are within and outside the convention.
Yeah, I think there are a few. So one is, of course, is to be given the resources, and including financial resources, including, of course, training. And then another thing is, of course, to have the platform and to make sure that youth are being empowered, and to have the place and platform to share our voices, and to have, like the Secretary General Gutierrez said to us last week, that we must be placed at the decision-making table, and we must have a seat there.
The climate crisis is actually asking us where are the major gaps that we need to cover in order to respond to many elements, and particular resilience or adaptation or capacity building of negotiators in the climate negotiation. One of the key gaps is actually how we connect the voices of the ones that have that knowledge into the spaces that they can be here. And the Resilient Hub actually helps on that one as a space of connecting people, connecting experts, researchers, civil society into that conversation.